Hello everyone, and welcome back to another one of my videos. In the last couple weeks of January, I've done a lot of just talking to you guys about my whole journey in 2025. One of the past videos I did, it was all about every book that I read in 2025, and I tried to describe each one of those books in under 90 seconds, and that was 99 books, because that's how many books that I actually read in 2025. For today's video, I'm going to tier rank these books. I am not going to do every single book. Some of them I'm going to group together and kind of rank them together as a series, just so this video isn't going to be as long as the video where I talked about my books. Let's just go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so real quick, here is kind of how I am setting up my ranking system. We have our top tier, so this is kind of like my God tier books for 2025, and that's no notes, just perfect. Okay, there was nothing wrong with these books. They were absolutely amazing. They were top notch. They live in my soul. I have my almost perfect. There might have been a couple hiccups here and there, things that were maybe slightly bothersome, but it was almost there, you guys. And I have enjoyed despite its flaws. So despite the fact that I had maybe typos, or maybe I didn't like some of the storyline, or maybe I didn't resonate completely with the characters, it was still a good book. I still had a good time. Then I have finished, but at what cost? Okay, these are the ones that I pushed myself through, but it was so hard. It was so difficult. And then never again. The books that, because I didn't do a DNF in my tier ranks, because I think I've only ever DNF'd maybe 2 books in my entire reading journey, which has been over 20. No, I've been reading for 35 years, and I've only DNF'd 2 books in all of that time. So to say that I don't DNF books is an understatement. None of this is in any particular order. Okay, so the first book in my list right here is A Court of Wings and Ruin. This is part of the ACOTAR series, and you guys, I absolutely love the ACOTAR series. It is definitely going into the almost perfect for me. It wasn't a God tier series. For me, it's one guy throughout the entire thing. Maybe you have to kind of figure out who that is. Yeah, I get that. But in ACOTAR, it really threw me. And even though I love how it turned out and I love who she ended up with, and that was incredible, it still took away a little bit for me. I completely understand where she went. I completely understand why she went there, but come on, author. Like, I fell in love with certain characters just to have things implode, and it just made me sad. Then we have Sarah J. Maas's Crescent City series. This is also a book that was book series that was in the almost perfect. The series was amazing. I loved the characters. I loved the drive. It definitely gave me City of Monster vibes, urban fantasy romance vibe to it. Funny Story was a really good time. I enjoyed all the characters. So I'm going to put enjoyed despite its flaws. For me, it wasn't perfect. Not because, the writing was good, the story was good, it was very sweet. It just wasn't quite almost to that perfect level. Ruthless Creatures. I have read 3 of those books so far, and I would have to say out of the 3 in the series, was definitely enjoyed despite its flaws. I loved every single one of them. I felt the chemistry between the characters. There was a couple typos, nothing super serious. Night of the Witch for me was a finish, but at what cost? I found myself getting bored. I found myself getting annoyed. The story didn't really flow very well. It kind of felt very choppy. Stonefather, this one was a standalone, and honestly, I would never again. It bored me through the entire thing. Luckily, it was a very, very small book, but the entirety of it bored me unbelievably. Undone, also a never again book. This one, it was horrible. It had potential to be a good book. I was so disappointed in it, you guys. That's all I can say. I'm going to put Furies of the Cauldron in the finished but at what cost, mainly because in and of itself, it was a really good book, but it's not normally my genre. It was full fantasy with very little romance involved. The romances that you did see were just kind of really, I didn't feel any of it. Deep End also finished, but at what cost? Mainly, it was a good book. I didn't feel the romance at all, but I did like the whole diving aspect of it. It was kind of like a history lesson about something that I never really knew about. And so for that and that alone, it bumps it up to the finished, but what cost. Night and the Moth. Oh my goodness, I loved this book. So that's going into the almost perfect category. This thing was just top notch. Yes, please. The only reason why it wasn't God tier for me was because it did have quite a bit of predictability in it. Like, okay, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked. It didn't really, oh wow me. You know, it was like, okay, yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I knew that. But I still loved the story and I still thought it was very beautiful. My Dark Desire, that was a never again book. It wasn't necessarily horrible. I don't know. I didn't connect with the characters. I felt like it had a potential to be a really great story, but it kind of just fell flat and it didn't really go anywhere in my opinion. Story of My Life by Lucy Score. This one was enjoyed despite its flaws. I loved this book so much. It was a sweet, heartwarming story and I loved the whole premise behind it. I just wish that towards the end things would have happened just a little bit differently. Direbound. Direbound lives in my soul. It is no notes, just perfect. I loved everything about this book. I loved the romances. Oh my gosh, I hope you guys have been able to hear me this whole time. I just realized that I put my mic down because I had to help my son with something. So I'm so sorry if the audio was a little horrible there for a minute. Anyways, Direbound, chemistry between her and all of the other characters, including her direwolf. I love the nuances of it. I loved the FMC beach read. Oh my goodness, I enjoyed this book. It was such a good book. It had all of the feels to it that make you feel good. Okay, so then The King of Pride. This is the first book in the Kings of Sin series, and I've read 3 of the books so far, and I would have to say that I enjoyed all 3 of the books. The third one, not as much as the first 2, but overall, I enjoyed all of these books, and I would definitely read them again. Falling Like Leaves is definitely something I would never read again. It was great for a kind of like a fall Thanksgiving-y type, read, but I didn't like the MMC. Most of the time, I just wanted to smack him. I realized that he's young. I was not a fan of the MMC. And if I don't like the main MMC, I'm not going to like the book. It's just the way it is. I'm sorry. Wild Eyes. Now, I have read 2 in the Chestnut Springs series. And overall, I would definitely have to say that they go into the enjoyed category. They were very sweet. They were very good. They gave me my cowboy romance vibe feels. Okay, Shield of Sparrows, definitely no notes, just perfect. I love this book so much. It lives in my soul. I think about it all the time, waiting in bated breath for book 2 to come out because I need to read it immediately. Yes, this thing, oh man, reading it changed my life. Okay, we're gonna leave it at that. Okay, Beneath the Stands is gonna go under the finished, but at what cost? I thought it was a really good read. I liked the characters. I understand the premise of what this book is trying to say, but because of all of the trigger warnings, I don't know. It's not that it made me uncomfortable. There's just something about it that didn't sit right with me. I can't necessarily explain it all the way. Escaped from Rage, finished, but at what cost? This thing had the premise to be a good book. I can see the story. I could see what the author was trying to do, but it was a very badly written book. It made it hard to get through. Terror at the Gates. This one surprised me. This is going to go into the almost perfect. When I first started reading it, I was worried about it, but I ended up absolutely loving it, and so that actually ended up in my almost perfect list. Mind Games by Nora Roberts. That is definitely going to go to enjoyed despite its flaws. I think in some ways, because I'm such a huge fan of Nora Roberts, I was expecting more from this book than what I got, and that's why it's in this section. Belladonna, definitely. I finished it, but at what cost? It was a good book in a way, but it was predictable. I didn't really feel the interests between the two and her and everybody else. It just felt so disconnected, and I just found myself getting bored. Okay, The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I have read 3 of the books so far, and I have to say, overall, they they ended up in the enjoyed despite its flaws. I love all three of the books. I do find that there's a bit of a repetitiveness going on in the series that was kind of getting to me a little bit. I still absolutely love the books. I had a really great time reading them, and they brought me joy and lightheartedness, everything a good romance book should do. The Book of Azrael, definitely no notes, just perfect. I absolutely... I have read 2 in the series. It's a 4-book series. I've read 2. I have 2 more to go, but so far, no notes, just perfect. I love everything about these books. It's surprising because I'm not usually into more of the dark type of fantasy. Loved the 2 books, and I cannot wait to get into the other 2. Stuffed, definitely in the Never Again. This book was all spice and very little plot. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Moving on. Kindling also is going to go into the Never Again category. It was an okay book. I got through it, but see, that's the thing. When you're reading a book and you're just trying to get through it. Okay, enough said. Okay, Flameborn Chosen. Now, I've read 2 of the books so far and loved them. Oh my goodness, absolutely amazing books. And they live in my soul. It's the Emberquell Academy series is an amazing series and God tier, perfect in my opinion. Pumpkin Spice Meltdown actually wasn't too bad. I'm gonna put that one in the enjoyed despite its flaws because I actually enjoyed this one. I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the characters, I loved everything about it. The Wolf King, I'm going to put that in enjoyed it despite its flaws. I feel like it's kind of possibly going where ACOTAR is at right now. And there was just a lot of world building. It is a book 1 in a series that's going to be continuing on. I'm not sure how many books, but it was a very good book. I enjoyed every minute of the read. Snowkissed, also enjoyed despite its flaws. It was a very good book. It had me hooked from the first page. I had a good time. I laughed. I cried. I felt all the emotions, everything that goes into a book. Riftborn, I would also have to say that one, no, actually, you know what? No, I'm going to change that. I think Riftborn is in the almost perfect. I had to stop and think about this one because I think I rated it initially differently, but now that I really stop and think about it and I reflect on it, it was a really, really good book. I think when I first rated it, I was more focused on where the author might take the series versus just trying to think about the book itself and how much I loved it. It would have been a God tier book except for the ending, which is why it's in the almost perfect. The Snow Bride, this one is definitely Never Again. It's another one of those things where the plot didn't really make sense. I wasn't really into the characters. It was just kind of meh. A Fate Inked in Blood, there is a 2-book series, and they're definitely in the almost perfect category. I loved them so much. There was a few times I started getting a little bored. For the most part, loved them. Okay, and then we have the Throne of Glass series. I just put the Kingdom of Ash, which is the last in the series, in here, and this one is going in, this one's going into the almost perfect as well. You know what, honestly, no. The Throne of Glass series is the No Notes Just Perfect series. I loved this series so much. These characters live in my soul and I think about them all the time. And I even remember asking my husband the other day, I was like, when is it too soon to do a reread on a book series? Because I loved it so much. I feel like there might have been so many things that as a first reader you don't get until you read it again. And I kind of want to be able to read it again and see all of these little maybe nuggets or Easter eggs that you find in rereads. The Court of the Silver Flames is actually part of the ACOTAR, so I already did ACOTAR and that was in the almost perfect over here. Protecting What's Mine by Lucy Score. This was a really good book. I'm going to put in the enjoyed despite its flaws. Again, it was a really good romance book. You've got the firefighter, you've got the rescue pilot, and they're coming together in a small town. There's that whole ambiance, and it was a really good book. The Crown of Gilded Bones. This is the From Blood and Ash series with Poppy and Hawk. And I'm going to put that in enjoyed despite its flaws. It started out to be an absolutely amazing series. I was loving it. It was going to be top notch. But then a few books in, it started getting a little into some tropes that I personally don't like. They're a huge turnoff in books for me. So unfortunately that dropped it down. It's still enjoyable enough that I might continue reading the series and hope that maybe it fixes back from there. And then there's enough in the plot of the story to make me want to keep reading. Mail Order Bride is next. And that one I'm going to put in enjoyed despite its flaws. It gave you all the feels, all the warmth, all the laughs and the giggles. It was a good time. Crown of Thorns. Let's going into the Never Again. This book I was so looking forward to reading, and it disappointed me, and that's all there is to that. So Sunrise on the Reaping is definitely going into the no notes just perfect. I love this book. I loved Haymitch's story. It's going to live with me forever. And I can't wait for the movie. I hope it does it justice. They did really good on the other books to movies renditions. So hopefully this one's going to be just as good. Then we have Icebreaker. That one's definitely going into the enjoyed despite its flaws. I'm not a huge hockey romance fan, so I think that is where it ended up for me. But it was still a really good book. I enjoyed both of the characters, and it definitely made me laugh. Then we have No More Secrets. This is book 1 in the Blue Moon series. I finished the entire series. I think it was like 7 books. Overall, the entire series is definitely in the enjoyed despite its flaws. They were very good books. A lot of them kind of got a little bit repetitive, but not in necessarily a bad way. It definitely Lucy Score did an amazing job of really making it feel like a continuation, right? You're going on to new characters in the next book and a different romance, but really focuses on community and friendship and found family. And so even though you're leaving one couple to go learn about another couple, you still get to take part in the couples that you've already read. Blood of the Queen was a very, very good book series. There's 3 books in it. All 3 of them were really good. It wasn't romance. This was basically, this was more just like high fantasy. And this series was written by Sarah Beth Durst. Very good series. My first introduction to this author, and I absolutely love her. Demon Hunter was a finished but at what cost? And this is one of those books that, along with Night of the Witch over here, and Belladonna, where I'm kind of, do I want to continue on or not? Even Furies of the Cauldron right here. Those 3, I'm kind of like, do I want to finish them? Do I not want to finish them? They're series that kind of have me going back and forth a little bit. Book lovers definitely enjoyed this book. It, again, kicked my feet, laughed, cried, got angry, had all the feels. Amazing. Okay, then we have Mission Clockwork. This one is finished, but at what cost? It was a good little book. It kind of gave me Sherlock Holmes vibes in a way, mixed with Quasimodo from Hunchback of Notre Dame. So this is another book that is part of a series that has me kind of going, I don't know, maybe. A Fate Forged in Fire, surprisingly enough, I actually loved this book. I cannot wait to continue the series on. The only reason why it didn't end up in my God tier books is mainly because the main character girl just made a lot of really dumb choices. It grated on my nerve, but I understand that she's young. His Majesty's Dragon, I actually really like this book. I've definitely put it in the enjoyed despite its flaws, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the series. It kind of gave me some Aragon vibes. Naomi put together this amazing world of like dragons and war. If you could think of our life as it is right now, where we're at, but just add dragons into it, that's definitely the feel that I got. And I feel like she did a very good job telling that. Dispel Shop is going into the enjoyed. I read this one and the Enchanted Greenhouse, which is book 2. Loved both of those books so good. Again, a great time. Gave me all of the warm fuzzies. Phantasma, I'm putting in the finish, but at what cost? This one, I was expecting more, and I found myself getting bored quite a bit. I just feel that it could have been given so much more than what it gave, unfortunately. Fall I Want was a decent book, but definitely in the Never Again category, because let's be honest here, it just, again, it kind of bored me. I felt like everything was rushed. I felt like the writing was against a clock, like I have to finish this. And so it just made kind of things that happened in the book a little unbelievable. I see Wild Love in here. I already did that series. So, and Tower of Dawn. It's a different book. It's about a different character, but it is still part of the Akatar series. So I don't need to do that one. The Wind Weaver. The Wind Weaver is definitely in the almost perfect. I was expecting a little bit more from this book. And honestly, I feel like it's going to kind of head into the why choose area. That was the only thing that was making it a little for me. The Powerless, I read all 3 books. Speaking of that, that's in there. I didn't need to be in there. Powerless, I think I would honestly put in enjoyed despite its flaws. I loved all 3 books. Kai is one of my top 10 book boyfriends. It was a really good book. I enjoyed all of the nuances of it. I enjoyed the romance. Overall, it was a really good book. Queen of Roses, definitely in my almost perfect series. I loved the series. I was sad when it was over. I loved Morgan. I loved the whole story and how it draws you in. It was just an amazing series, and I was sad to see it go. I was sad for it to be done. Okay, Flawless by Elsie Silver. This was another cowboy romance, and that's going to go into the enjoyed. I absolutely loved it. I loved getting to peer into the bull riding section of life. I loved the story between the main characters, and it was a good time. Gods of Monsters. Okay, this one I've only read book 1 of, so I'm just going to rate this one itself, and I'm definitely putting it in the almost perfect. I loved this book. I was amazed because it is a thick book, and I was expecting to get bored or, check out or something, but honestly, I didn't. I was there for it the entire time. I loved how, despite it being such a big book, it just kept drawing you in. You would get done with a few chapters and then bam, and then a few more chapters and then bam, and like you never saw these things coming. It had so much going on that you never felt rushed, you never felt bored, you just wanted to keep going. Okay, and then we have Battle World, and Battle World, I would probably put in the finished but at what cost. It wasn't necessarily a bad book. I found it entertaining to a certain extent, but I also found myself getting bored. I felt like this book over-explained everything. They just didn't need to do that, but they did it. Okay, Fourth Wing. Heck yeah, you guys. I loved Fourth Wing. Is going into the almost perfect. Honestly, I had a couple qualms about it. They're young. I'm an older reader, and sometimes the youngness and the way the youngins think and do things, it just makes me go, And there's certain parts of the story that are so predictable. Like, I feel like I know what she could have done. Like, there was choices made and worries that and solutions that could happen. I did do a whole vlog of me reading Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm. So if that is something you're interested in, it is on my channel. Zodiac Academy, definitely in the almost perfect. I have read 5 books so far. 4 of them were 5-star. I'm not even going to talk about book 5 yet because I just finished it, and I'm going to be talking about that in my what books I read in the month of January. So I'm not even really going to go there. Let's just say that 5th book is one of the biggest reasons why it's in the no notes just perfect. That, and it definitely has some writing flaws. It's not the best literature in the world. That kind of has me laughing when I read some of the spellings and the typos and stuff. It just cracks me up. Last but not least, Quicksilver. And of course, there's also Brimstone. That one is also out. That came out in November of 2025, and I also read that, and both of them, no notes, just perfect. I love Kingfisher. Yes. And I love the story. I love the world building, and I love all the other characters, the side characters. I love how much depth and context gets put into all of the storytelling. It kind of levels everything out in such a beautiful way. You don't get bored. You want to find out what's going to happen. The characters are relatable. They're characters that live in your soul, and you find yourself thinking about them all the time. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this little ranking video that I did. Hopefully I got all of the books. I looked at my list, double checked my list, triple checked my list. I read series in different orders. So I read one book in maybe, February, but I didn't read book 2 until April, so I was trying to get that all organized. So I think I got everything, to be honest. Maybe it's something that you guys would like to see me do again when when we get into 2027. But let's not think about that right now, because you know what? 1 year at a time. I hope everybody's been having a fantastic week so far. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.